Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. You know, there are no shortages of three-row crossovers here in America, and Mazda has always had one of the sportiest, sleekest, and most luxurious offerings to date. Today I'm driving the 2021 Mazda CX-9 Signature. As you can see, it's painted in machine gray metallic. It got some updates for 2021, including that new grille, a new screen on the inside, and some added standard equipment, and a new trim level. However, this one is the Signature model. So if you're in the market for a three-row family crossover, and you want something that stands out a little bit more, is the 2021 Mazda CX-9 still worth a look? That's what we're here to find out. So by now you guys should be pretty familiar with this CX-9. I've practically tested it every year since this second generation came out back in 2016. It's been consistently one of my top recommendations as long as you guys don't need the most interior space and most cargo space. And as you can see, this Signature model got some updates for 2021. The first thing you're going to notice right off the bat is that new grille. The grille on the Signature is slightly unique. It's got these new silver slats that are kind of highlighting the actual inside part of the grille. Full LED headlights are going to be standard equipment. This one here has the adaptive LEDs. They have an LED daytime running light, an LED turn signal, and then really tiny LED fog lights down at the lower fascia. Overall, I think in this machine gray color, the car still looks relatively nice, although I do think that it's starting to look a little bit bland. I wish Mazda offered like a black appearance package, a sport package, which is actually what the carbon package adds, which includes black mirrors and darkened blacked out wheels. I just don't like the chrome trim that you get on the Signature model. What the Signature model does give you is this cool little LED accent that kind of goes throughout the lower portion of the grille. This is of course the Mazda 5-point grille, which has aged pretty well, although the headlights still look a little bit small from certain angles, and I still don't like that chrome mustache that's at the very bottom of the lower front fascia. And as you can see, the wheels have been updated this year. These are the 20-inch wheels that you get on the Signature trim. They're wrapped in 255/50 series tires. I don't particularly like the way these wheels look anymore. I think that Mazda, changed the spoke design of the wheels and they look a little bit smaller this year. This vehicle still offers an 8.8 inches of ground clearance, which is actually a pretty good amount considering this is just a family crossover. And the thing about the CX-9 is this is their largest SUV, and it doesn't look that way. At 199 inches long, the overall length is surprisingly longer than most of its competitors by about 5 to 6 inches, but it doesn't look that way when you're staring at this vehicle from the outside. I think that the Mazda has done a great job with the packaging, making this car look a lot smaller than it actually is. The rear, you can see the taillight design hasn't changed, no refresh here. They added a Signature trim badge with an all-wheel drive system badge right there, which does come standard on the Signature trim. You cannot get front drive on this model. And then down here you can see the dual exhaust tips look especially nice and tasteful. And then when you open up the cargo area here, the thing about the CX-9 is it does offer less space. It's not the most space efficient with its large size. With the third row seat up, it measures around 14.4 cubic feet of space. If you want to fold down everything, which Mazda makes it pretty easy, you can see you can fold down the third row here, although there's no power folding third row. Some competitors offer that. When you fold down the third row, which most of you will probably do, you get around 35 cubic feet of space. And then if you fold down the second row, Mazda says you get around 71 cubic feet of space. All right, so the exterior didn't change too much. However, Mazda spent extra time on improving the interior, which is arguably the more important area for a vehicle like the CX-9. And getting back here, you can see the CX-9's always had a class-leading interior in terms of features and luxury. You can see these are the new Napa quilted leather seats that are on the Signature trim. I love the fact that they're like a cream white color with this contrasting black piping and some stitching. Love the quilted part here. It looks very upscale. It looks very luxurious, along with the stitching on the door panels, the aluminum trim, the rosewood accents that you get on the Signature trim, which are, matte finish, and they are real. They smell real. This interior in general just feels very expensive and high quality, so it's still a very nice place to spend time. Shutting the door, it has a nice solid thump, which is good. The materials on the door panel here are also soft touch and more of that stitching, which is great. The screen here is the big star, because once you start the vehicle up, which first let me show you the key fob. This is the newer Mazda key, which is much larger than the older Mazda key. The push to start button is over here. You can see this screen here is the larger 10.25 inch display that we first saw on the Mazda 3 and the CX-30. It's now in the Mazda CX-9, which is the place where it needed it the most because you've got this expansive dash. This screen looks great, and I think that the car should have launched with it. Before, you used to get a standard 7-inch or a larger 9-inch. Now, of course, you get that big 10.25 inch, which is great. The instrument panel display here, you can see there is a digital gauge, or it's completely a digital gauge in the center, but in the sides you have a traditional analog gauge. The steering wheel itself is also pretty much the same. You have telescoping design to the steering wheel. The leather also feels really nice, high quality. You get paddles on the wheel, which I don't believe this car used to have paddles on the wheel, so I'll have to double check my old Mazda 3 or CX-9 videos to see if it had that. Actual head-up display, of course, which is great. It projects onto the windshield. The Bose stereo system in my tester also comes standard with the Signature. It sounds good. It's about what you would expect in this segment. The windows are one touch for all four, which is nice. It's what you expect in something like this. That's their flagship vehicle. Lots of traditional buttons. The buttons have a tactile, high quality feel. Now, when you push this view button here, you can see Mazda added a full 360 camera, and look at that resolution. Excellent resolution, better than all of the other mainstream competitors that I've seen. I also like how the screen basically takes up the entire bezel display. It goes out to the upper corners here on the top. So this is a very nice looking display. So bravo Mazda for finally putting, a great infotainment system, resolution and graphics. You can see it offers multiple different modes. This is, basically where you'd have the audio system or the audio menu right here where it shows you your audio information. It's not a touchscreen, however. Mazda doesn't believe in touchscreen. Instead, you want to use this rotary dial controller where if you push the home button, you can see those are your different sources. If you kick over to the right, you can see there's Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It looks fantastic, but you have to use the little dial here. It's not a touchscreen. I wish Mazda would do a touchscreen, but instead they've placed it pretty far back and high up there because they say this is less distracting than a touchscreen. I kind of disagree with them. I do love the new display here. This is just fantastic in terms of the resolution, in terms of the graphics, in terms of the size of the screen. It does include factory embedded GPS, but I would probably just not even use the factory GPS and just use the Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Mazda, of course, uses a TomTom based system. They've made improvements over the years, but it's still not great. Going over to the settings here, you can kind of change your vehicle settings. This is the same Mazda Connect head unit, of course, in the newer Mazda 3 and CX-30. It works okay, but I still would prefer it to be a touchscreen over this rotary dial. There's a new wireless phone charging pad over here, some storage over there. You've got tri-zone climate control. You have heated and cooled seats, which is nice. The cooled seats in Mazdas work fairly well. You have a heated steering wheel with one level. This controls the 6-speed automatic, as you can see. When you put it in reverse, there's the full 360 camera that I showed you with those great resolutions and great graphics. I like the new rear view mirror here, which has that frameless design. It looks very upscale, of course, which is good. You have LED lighting in the cabin, which is what you expect. Love the materials in here with the soft leather, the real wood, the cup holders, nice padded center console area here. And then, of course, you have a nice storage cubby over there. Mazda does not offer a pano sunroof, just a standard sunroof, which would be nice if they did offer that. And then over here, you can see glove compartment is damped, lined with felt. It's a little bit on the small side. So in terms of storage cubbies, the competitors definitely offer more. The Mazda feels more like a car, and it feels like a luxury car in here. But if you guys, again, are looking for the most interior space, the most storage cubbies, you're going to want to check out its competitors, which have a more minivan-like feel to it. Now, last year, Mazda added a really nice option for those of you who wanted the signature trim but wanted captain's chairs. And as you can see, the captain's chairs carry over for 2021, and it is one of the nicest looking seats that I've seen in the segment. And just like the front seats, you can see Mazda added the quilted leather this year to the second row. The third row does not get the quilted leather, but I really like the contrasting piping and stitching. The seats themselves look very comfortable, and they also added this really cool center console here, which basically looks like the one that you get in the front. It also includes heated rear seats. This looks very upscale. This looks way more upscale than most of the competitors, which I like. Getting back here, you can see Mazda says you get around 39 inches of legroom back here, which is pretty good. The floor is not completely flat, but obviously with the captain's chairs, the seating capacity is limited to 6 as opposed to 7. Mazda does not offer 8 passenger seating in this vehicle. You can see there's 2 map pockets there, which is nice. When I shut the door, it has a relatively solid sounding thunk. It is soft touch plastic here. You have these nice manual sunshades, of course, leather stitching and padding on the armrest, which is good. Some of that aluminum look trim. And I really like the fact that you have this really great covered storage area with 2 USB charging ports. So very nice place to spend time in the second row. However, the third row is probably where a lot of people in this segment really want to test out to see how it works. Now, getting back here, you can see Mazda makes it relatively easy, but not quite as easy as some competitors like from Honda, Toyota, or from Kia and Hyundai. You pull this lever over here, that makes the seat slide forward, then you can push it forward and out of the way. You can see it reveals a good amount of space to get back here, but legroom is definitely tight. Let me get back here and show you guys what the space is like. Now, I'm 5'7", and I've got to kind of wedge my feet underneath this second row here. Now, once I get back here, I have a good amount of headroom where I'm not My hair's not touching the ceiling. The seats themselves, they are pretty low, so they don't offer much in terms of thigh support. The leather also feels okay. It's not quite as, cheap feeling as some competitors. But as you can see here, my knees are practically up against the second row seat, so I'd have to ask the second row passenger here to move their seat forward, which would take up into their space. In terms of stuff, there's a USB charging port, 2 of them back here, which is good. Cup holders, but it's all hard touch plastic. The third row in this vehicle is definitely not the largest in the segment, but it is still usable for small kids. Under the hood of the 2021 CX-9, Mazda didn't make any changes. However, they did add more power as long as you guys put premium gas in this car. And the CX-9 was one of the first vehicles to introduce a 4-cylinder turbo. This is, of course, Mazda's very well-known 2.5-liter Skyactiv G turbocharged 4-cylinder with direct injection. On regular gas, it makes 227 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. However, if you feed it premium, Mazda says it'll make 250 horsepower and now 320 pound-feet of torque. So 10 more pound-feet of torque, which is really what you're going to feel in a vehicle like this. It has plenty of low-end grunt. Now, unfortunately, it goes out through a 6-speed automatic transmission, so it's down up to 4 gears compared to its competitors. It really slows the acceleration and also hurts the fuel economy, but this is rated to get 20 in the city, 26 on the highway, which is not bad, but some V6 competitors do get better gas mileage than this 4-cylinder. Now, as this car sits, it weighs right around 4,400 pounds, and the CX-9 properly equipped will tow a maximum of around 3,500 pounds. Front-wheel drive is standard, but of course, the signature trim comes standard with the company's Skyactiv all-wheel drive system. So the Mazda CX-9 was one of the first crossover vehicles that introduced fun-to-drive handling dynamics in the larger 3-row SUV segment. Mazda, of course, has always been known for driving matters or zoom zoom, and that carries over into this 2021 CX-9. Mazda has not made any changes to the driving dynamics of this car, which is a good thing because the CX-9 is still one of the best driving 3-row crossovers. It feels a lot smaller than its large dimensions would suggest. It is a relatively fun to drive crossover for this segment, and you really feel it when you get on the throttle. This 2.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder offers plenty of mid-range grunt. It is not the smoothest or most refined engine in this segment. That's the one thing I think Mazda needs to work on, is their noise, vibration, and harshness. It just doesn't sound great when you get the revs up. It also will short shift rather abruptly at around 5,500 RPM because the power really tapers off. So even though it makes 250 horsepower, you're really mostly just going to feel that 310 or 320 pound-feet of torque that you get when you put it on, when you fill it with premium gas. The 6-speed auto in this car is a great transmission. It was perfect, 5 years ago, but it is down several gears. It doesn't shift quite as quickly as its competitors, or smoothly. It does shift smoothly, but you really notice that it knocks the engine out of the meat of its power band constantly, which makes this thing feel a lot slower than it could be. 0 to 60 times are around the 7.5-second mark. Something like a Honda Pilot is faster with its 9-speed auto and that V6 that's screaming away. But drag racing is not the point of buying a vehicle like this. Instead, you just want to make sure it has plenty of power to get you around town. The paddle shifters, which are new on this one that I last drove, do make the car a little bit more engaging. The paddles actually respond relatively well to whenever I pull the paddle. There's also a sport mode here in the transmission. It's just either on or off. It's very simple. It makes the transmission more responsive. And honestly, the CX-9 still has adequate acceleration. The steering is also one of the best steering in the segment. It's very quick, it's very light, it's very direct. It offers a decent amount of feel as well, considering this is a family SUV. Now, all-wheel drive is standard on the signature model, so that means when I floor it from a stop, surprisingly, I actually got it to spin the tires a little bit there for an all-wheel drive car. That is interesting. But then you could immediately sense the Skyactiv system sending power to the back wheels to compensate for that. Mazda's all-wheel drive system is pretty good, but this is no performance-oriented all-wheel drive system. Obviously, it's just there for wet weather or all-weather traction. This car does offer 8.8 inches of ground clearance. Now, in terms of the rest of the driving style in this car, when you drive it normally, it's very relaxed. The seats are comfortable. It has a very nice ride quality, even though it's a sportier driving car. Visibility is also good. You've got the Mazda safety system is standard on every trim. So you have their automatic emergency braking, you've got adaptive cruise control, you've got lane keep assist. No wheel spin there. You know, this powertrain's about to make its way into the Mazda 3, which I haven't driven yet as of this filming. I will be driving it soon. It's a good powertrain, but putting it in something like a lighter car like the 3 might make it even more fun. I wish that Mazda added a better sound to this engine, better noise, vibration, harshness. Fuel economy is also decent. I've been averaging around 19 mpg in my mixed driving. I've been putting regular gas in it, which does supposedly lower the power. I don't think it affects the fuel economy, but you know, most people who buy these will probably end up just putting regular gas in it. On the highway, it got 25 mpg, so that's really where the 6-speed auto is limiting the fuel economy. It should easily do over 30 if Mazda added a few more gears. An all-wheel drive car that will spin out its front tires. Now, that is definitely the Mazda way. Now, I doubt most owners are going to do that. The traction control really reined in and killed all the power, but it's kind of cool and it's kind of comical that you can get an all-wheel drive car to do that. Although most vehicles would do that if you are turning left or right or making a U-turn and flooring the throttle, but it's still pretty funny to hear. So although Mazda made some nice improvements to the CX-9 for 2021, and they made some good ones, the infotainment system is a huge upgrade, although you still have to kind of get used to it, they still didn't address any of the shortcomings that this generation is known for. It has an interior that is unusually cramped for how big it is on the outside. It's still one of the sportier driving SUVs out there. However, the engine, the powertrain, the transmission really lets it down. It could be so much faster, it could get better gas mileage if Mazda put an 8-speed or a 10-speed transmission in this car. It's still really sporty to drive, and it also looks good. And if you guys want the Carbon Edition model, that slots between the Touring and Grand Touring for around $42,000 with the black wheels and such. It does look good, but Mazda only offers it in poly metal gray. Now, of course, the signature trim is the fully loaded version. That one stickers for around $46,900. Add the destination charge, and you're looking at around $48,000. That puts it closer to 50 grand, which makes the CX-9 a little bit more expensive than its competitors. A base model starts at around $33,900, $35,000 with destination. So the CX-9 is no longer one of the cheapest entries in the segment, which does make choosing it a little bit harder. You need to choose this car because you like the styling, you like Mazdas, you like the handling, but you don't necessarily need all of the space on the inside and the cargo area, or like plan to put, you know, a bunch of car seats in this car, because it does not do as well as some of its competitors, which offer just way more space on the inside. But with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the 2021 Mazda CX-9. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews. Like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.